Hello, my friends. Welcome to week 2 of virtual learning. I hope that you had a great week last week. I hope that you are getting comfortable with and used to logging on your classrooms on your tablets or computers or phones, and that you're getting into a new routine of accessing your schoolwork. I saw lots of great comments and responses back from the speech assignment from last week. I hope you all had fun completing your challenge items. And before you jump into doing this week's speech assignment, I wanted to read you another book. So I was reading this book to Bo and Veda this week. It is called Stone Soup. And I could not believe how well it fit with everything that is going on in our world right now. And it really was a good reminder to our family of how we should be acting and treating other people. And I wanted to share it with you guys because I thought it was just a wonderful message. So I'm going to read a little bit to you guys today. Now, these pages have a lot of words on each one. So I'll read and you'll kind of be able to see it. But then at the end, I'll show you the picture before I turn to the next page. So don't worry. Okay, guys. 3 soldiers trudged down a road in a strange country. They were on their way home from the wars. Besides being tired, they were hungry. In fact, they had eaten nothing for 2 days. Can you imagine not eating for 2 days? That would be a terrible feeling. He's so hungry. How I would like a good dinner tonight, said the first. And a bed to sleep in, said the second. But all that is impossible, said the third. We must march on. So on they marched. Suddenly ahead of them, they saw the lights of a village. Maybe we'll find a bite to eat there, said the first. And a loft to sleep in, said the second. No harm in asking, said the third. Now the peasants of that place feared strangers. When they heard that these 3 soldiers were coming down the road, they talked amongst themselves. There's our 3 soldiers, and there's the village they see down the road. Here come 3 soldiers. Soldiers are always hungry, but we have little enough for ourselves. And they hurried to hide their food. They pushed sacks of barley under the hay in their lofts. They lowered buckets of milk down into their wells. They spread old quilts over the carrot bins, and they hid their cabbages and potatoes under their beds. They hung their meat in the cellars. They hid all they had to eat, and then they waited. See them hiding all that food? It doesn't seem like they plan on sharing. They seem worried. They don't want to share with the soldiers. Let's find out why. The soldiers stopped first at the house of Paul and Francois. Good evening to you, they said. Could you spare a bit of food for 3 hungry soldiers? We have had no food for ourselves for 3 days, said Paul. Francois made a sad face. It has been a poor harvest. The 3 soldiers went on to the house of Albert and Louise. Could you spare a bit of food? And have you some corner where we could sleep for the night? No, said Albert. We gave all we could spare to soldiers who came before you. Our beds are full, said Louise. So there's our soldiers. They're going all through this town, but nobody's helping them out. At Vincent and Marie's, the answer was the same. It had been a poor harvest, and all the grain must be kept for seed. So it went all through the village. Not a peasant had any food to give away, and they all had good reasons. One family had used the grain for feed, another had an old sick father to care for. All said they had too many mouths to fill. So they're telling the soldiers they don't have anything to share. Nothing at all. The villagers stood in the street and sighed. They tried to look as hungry as they could. See how they're holding their bellies? This little girl's putting her arm up in the air. Oh, I'm so hungry. The three soldiers talked together. Maybe they're thinking of a plan. Let's find out. The first soldier called out, "Good people!" and the peasants drew near. "We are 3 hungry soldiers in a strange land. We've asked you for food, but you have no food." "Well then, we'll have to make stone soup." The peasants stared. Stone soup? That would be something to know about. So it sounds like these soldiers have an idea. Told the peasants, let's try and make some stone soup. Have you ever heard of stone soup? I've never heard of it before I read this book. "First, we'll need a large iron pot," the soldiers said. The peasants brought the largest pot they could find. How else to cook enough? "That's none too large," said the soldiers, "but it will do. And now water to fill it and a fire to heat it." So first they're asking for a pot, getting this pot ready for their stone soup. It took many buckets of water to fill the pot. A fire was built on the village square and the pot was set to boil. And now, if you please, 3 round, smooth stones. Those were easy enough to find. The peasants' eyes grew rounder as they watched the soldiers drop the stones into the pot. They've never heard of someone using stones in a soup before. Have you? I told you I haven't. I've never seen stone soup on any menu anywhere either. "Any soup needs salt and pepper," said the soldiers as they began to stir. Children ran to fetch the salt and pepper. Stones like these generally make good soup, but if there were carrots, it would be much better. "Oh, what? I think I have a carrot or two," said Francois, and off she ran. She came back with her apron full of carrots from the bin beneath the red quilt. Oh, so she decided to share a little bit. Nice. "A good stone soup should have cabbage," said the soldiers as they sliced the carrots into the pot. "But no use asking for what you don't have." "I think I could find a cabbage somewhere," it said Marie, and she hurried home. Back she came with 3 cabbages from the cupboard under her bed. Remember, she told them she didn't have anything, but sounds like she's deciding to share too. Carrots, cabbage, some salt and pepper in there. This is really coming together. "If we only had a bit of beef and a few potatoes, this soup would be good enough for a rich man's table." The peasants thought that over. They remembered their potatoes and the sides of beef hanging in the cellars, and they ran to fetch them. A rich man's soup, and all from a few stones? It seemed like magic. See, everybody's gathering together now. They're all coming together and sharing those things that they hid before. "Ah," sighed the soldiers as they stirred in the beef and potatoes. "If we only had a little barley and a cup of milk, this soup would be fit for the king himself. Indeed, he asked for just such a soup when last he dined with us." The peasants looked at each other. The soldiers had entertained the king? Well, but no use asking for what you don't have, said the soldiers. The peasants brought their barley from the lofts, and they brought their milk from the wells. The soldiers stirred the barley and the milk into the steaming broth, while the peasants stared. See, at first they wanted to hide everything from these soldiers, but as this story goes on, it's just more and more people are deciding to share the things they have. I love that. At last, the soup was ready. "All of you shall taste," the soldier said, "but first a table must be set." Great tables were placed in the square, and all around were lighted torches. That looks so nice. It's really coming together. I like that. Such a soup, and how good it smelled. Truly fit for a king. But then the peasants asked themselves, would not such a soup require bread and roast and cider? Soon a banquet was spread, and everyone sat down to eat. And never had there been such a feast. Never had the peasants tasted such soup. And fancy that, they made it from stones. It started with the soldiers suggesting they use the stones, but everybody brought their little thing together. And look at this fancy soup they made. They ate and they drank and they ate and they drank, and after that they danced. They danced and they sang far into the night. Look at that. She just really brought everyone together. At last they were tired. Then the three soldiers asked, is there not a loft where we could sleep? Oh, let three such wise and splendid gentlemen sleep in a loft? Indeed, no. They must have the best beds in the village. Now, you remember in the beginning of the story, no one had anywhere for them to sleep, and no one had anything to share. And look how these people have changed. Just a little kindness. So the first soldier slept in the priest's house. The second soldier slept in the baker's house. And the third soldier slept in the mayor's house. Wow, some of the town's most important people found a place for these soldiers to sleep. How nice is that? A nice cozy bed for them to spend the night. Oh, this last page is tricky. In the morning, the whole village gathered in the square to give them a send-off. Many thanks for what you have taught us, said the peasants. We shall never go hungry now that we know how to make soup from stones. Look at all that. Everyone is gathered together. These soldiers brought this whole town together. Oh, it's all in knowing how, said the soldiers, and off they went down the road. Now, I just love that book because I was thinking about how everything has changed so much lately, but there are still little things we can do that can make a big, big difference. And I was thinking about that when it comes to your speech, that you might not have a lot or, fancy things or big things to share with the grown-ups in your house or your neighbors or your family members, but just those little tiny things, just like those people didn't have all the ingredients for soup, but one person brought barley and one person brought the milk and one person brought the carrots. So if you just share one little thing every day, maybe that's saying, good morning, Mom, how did you sleep? Or maybe that's, Dad, can I help you with that? Or maybe it's a little thing like seeing if your sister has a hard time logging on an app that you used when you were in her grade. All of those little tiny things, just like the people in our book that shared all the little things they had, those all add up to such a big difference and to something big and special. And so I know that you are also special and so kind, and that you will be able to think of maybe one little thing to do each day this week. So I hope you all have a fabulous week too. And I hope that you enjoyed reading this book. I hope I can find my remote to shut this video off. I did. And I will talk to you all very soon, guys. See ya. Bye.